Welcome to the selfgrowth.com show. My name is David Riklan, and I'm the founder of selfgrowth.com. Today, we'll be discussing how women can reclaim their power. To help us understand this topic, I'm excited to interview Laura B. Young. Make sure to listen closely. We're going to be sharing a lot of information today. Before we get started, I want to just take a couple of minutes and share some information about Laura. Laura B. Young is a psychotherapist in private practice, a licensed marriage and family therapist, a certified clinical hypnotherapist, a trained professional counselor, and author of several self-help books. She's devoted to helping people become more of what's possible for them. She draws on over 30 years of clinical experience, the last 27 years at Life Resource Center, a private practice she established in 1992, a few years back. She is both in-office and convenient telephone consultations, all confidential. And I'm going to give out a phone number for anybody who wants to reach Laura. Her phone number is 334-277-7955. Over time, Laura has specialized in relationships, life transitions, grief resolution, stress management, and women's creativity groups. Her most recent focus addresses women's concerns at every threshold of their life. Her most recent book, Remove Obstacles to Experience Unstoppable Feminine Power, addresses the many ways that women betray themselves, thus holding themselves back. And I want to share also her main website, and we'll get into some other things in a little bit, is Laura B, the letter B, laurabyoung.com. All right, Laura, welcome to today's show.
Hello, David. Happy to be here, especially happy to be discussing one of my favorite topics in the whole world.
All right, it's an important topic, so let's jump right in. So I mentioned the topic is how women can reclaim or claim their power. How widespread is the need for women to reclaim their power? Why is this such an issue?
Well, have you looked at the state of the world lately, David? 50% of the power in the world that's not being fully utilized is the feminine power.
Right.
However, many women look at it with a bit of a negative skew because they don't really fully claim their own power, and they believe they have to be in the world using the male template of power, which of course is absolutely necessary, but I believe insufficient. I think we have to join and unite. I mean, but women tend to, I'm not saying most of your audience are probably well-versed in using much of their feminine power. The only thing is, if there's something in your life where what you really want and what you're really experiencing indicates that there's a gap. And that's what I'm here to help people find out, why there's a gap, why there's a stuck place, why they have a sense of negativity about their own power, and how to find out what's hidden and how to heal it once you find it, you know. So okay. I don't know.
I get it.
Your question.
All right, cool. We'll be getting into it a lot more as we continue over here. So I get completely what you're saying. So let's delve in, because I want to go a lot deeper than what you're saying right now. So I know one of the things that you talk about is you say that much is hidden. You just mentioned this hidden power. Much is hidden due to things like early conditioning. When and how does that happen, and what impact does it have?
Well, the first 2 years of our life, we're in what is called delta energy. And then the next, up until the age of reason, which is around 7, we're into theta energy, which is lower and slower energy than beta energy, which is what we use daily to think and to move and to act on. So in that state, we're kind of in that low, slow energy. We're really, whatever comes across our way merges with us. We take it in as if it is the truth. We have no way to reason or to question. And of course, we can't, but even if we could, who would listen at that age, you know? So that's where the conditioning comes in. If you, for instance, it's magical thinking in a way. Whatever happens that's good, we think we caused it. whatever happens that's negative, we think we caused it. And we kind of get those feelings inside of ourselves that we're good or bad. So
Right.
if we spill milk and mother says, oh, oh, don't, we take in that mother being irritable is our fault. We take
Okay.
everything in as if it's our fault. So we are conditioned to kind of accept whatever comes our way. And I'm afraid women, females and males are really conditioned differently. It doesn't mean we're not all caught in a prison of conditioning to some extent. We all have our stuff, but men have a freer time, as we will see. I'll give you some examples in a little while, but the conditioning for female particularly is so limiting and weakening. It's kind of like, don't get dirty, don't yell, don't be angry, don't hurt your brother, don't climb trees, don't be, all the don't be's that get in there that, of course, parents teach what they know. And although a lot of parents have gone through the 60s and came to some degree freer of old beliefs and conditioning, there's still a lot of it there. Like, for instance, I had a young woman named, well, she's middle-aged now, but Amy. She said, I grew up, my mother was really active in the 60s. She was a bra burner. But she said, when I grew up with two brothers and I was out there climbing trees and trying to climb trees and everything, they were having crazy, crazy fun and throwing mud and getting dirty. And I was hearing, Amy, be careful, don't do that. You're getting dirty, stop yelling. And she said, now I'm a mother with two children of my own. And I believe I'm passing along the ancestral beliefs and conditionings. Right. She said, plus I never got a chance to develop my physical courage. She said, and I'm a kind of a fearful person because I'm coming to now so I can heal some of that so I don't pass it on too badly to my children,
So it's interesting. So what I'm hearing, correct me if I'm wrong, is that we're conditioned from childhood, women more so, not to take risks, that not to kind of push themselves, because whatever that means, we're boys at a young age are actually conditioned where it's acceptable to take greater risks, whether those risks are physical, emotional, spiritual, whatever those are. Women are almost conditioned from early on not to take these risks and not to kind of stretch themselves. Is this accurate?
Yes, that is so true. And sometimes it's not that obvious. Sometimes it's really sly, all the women in this family, Edith was loved to draw and, got the message that stop that doodling. You can do that after we get all the work done. And you're never going to make a living with art. You need to get a real job. Right. So she comes to me at midlife as an accountant, terribly depressed, had closed down her creative side and had to kind of go back and find it again.
Sure.
It was like just small sentences, because when we're really young, we take it in as if something is wrong with us if we don't adhere to what is, spoken by parents or church or school or, I think, it's parents, church, school, community, when you're really nice and you're keeping your voice low as you speak, you're making us proud. They tell us you're such a nice girl. You're such a good girl. So the little girl starts pushing down her wildness, her natural wildness, her natural ability to risk. It's pushed down. I'm not talking about the danger of wildness of, hitchhiking or something like that.
Right.
It's about natural ability to express, get dirty, and kind of find her own core. She starts quite often, a lot, large percentage, start adhering to the template of fitting in to
Mhm.
make us proud. And it
Interesting.
starts really early. And then it's built on, even after the age of reason, all of that in there is submerged in the unconscious. So it's easy to go with the pattern that's already established. And even very powerful women in the corporate world. I have one woman not too long ago come to me. She said, I'm running a company. I have 32 employees. They love me. I love my power at work. Why is it when I go home to visit my parents, I feel like I'm 12? I haven't freed up from their expectations of me. I'm not doing what they thought I should do,
Right.
So,
Well, it's interesting. I want to touch a little bit on what you said about women and young girls being taught to kind of be nice.
mhm.
And being nice, it sounds like you're saying is being nice is going to, it weakens women, weakens females as part of their culture and who they are. So my question for you first is that accurate? And then what do women need to do to kind of to strengthen themselves to kind of flip that?
First, women, even very successful women, if they're having been stuck in any area of life, they need to realize something is going on there beneath the surface. So they have to come out, get curious, come out of denial that is possibility, something, like that is happening or has happened. When women are nice, females go into that template a lot. They overdo to be accepted. They they get exhausted, they get resentful, but they keep on doing, and that takes away their own personal happiness. When that happens, they don't seem to have an inner permission to say no without giving a lot of reasons. And when you don't say no clean and crisp because it's not a good day for me to do that, I don't want to do
Right.
that, thanks for asking. If you can't say no crisp and be okay with that without giving reasons, it's really hard to say yes and really mean it. It's like it's all gets muddied, and
Mhm.
what happens is the joy is lost. You can't selectively choose what emotions you're going to feel if you suppress some of your real expressions and don't say no when you need to say no. And then you can't really say yes with joy when it's something you really want to do. Then sometimes the conflict inside, is sometimes the basis for depression and anxiety
Mhm.
about who am I in the world, that
So
kind
it's
of, and it is weakening. I do encourage women first to acknowledge what they're doing and how they betray themselves when they overdo the niceness, or they keep on that pattern of niceness and are afraid of standing up and saying, no, thank you for asking, it's not good for me, it's not good for me. Because when they do that, when they stop, if they will learn that they can be kind, which is different than nice. Kindness seems to be a universal trait that has within it choice.
Mhm.
Choice to be, it's confidence in kindness. There's a sense of, I can choose to, kindness is kind of universally appreciated, but it doesn't mean betraying oneself to do it. Kindness can say no. Kindness can say, this is not a good time. Kindness says, yes, I'd love to do that. But kindness has more confidence and power. And you will find that in men who are kind. It's a lovely feel to it when you know the man is saying yes or no, and there's a kindness there, and he does not betray himself. We could learn a lot from men regarding kindness and not betraying ourselves by being, trying to be nice all the time. I mean, nice by, where did we get that? What does that
Right.
mean? What does that look like in your family? And of course, every family has their own version of what nice is. And sometimes, mother was nice to keep dad even tempered, or mother was nice because she didn't value herself enough to say no. It kind of gets passed down.
What's interesting, and one of the things I heard you saying was being nice all the time is exhausting.
Yeah.
It's
Well, think
exhausting.
about it, think about it. I mean, I had a woman who said, just today, she said, I said yes to, she was a professional person. She was an attorney, but she said, I have an open door and I can't get to do my own work because people are coming in asking me things and I'm saying yes, yes, yes. And I talked to her a little bit about what have you had, just certain hours where you were available to your staff for questions or for encounter. And she said, I'm worn out by the end of the day and then I stay later to do my work.
Right.
So she had to really stop and think if she was up to making that kind of change, because what would they say? What would they feel about her? They would just not think she was a nice person. But, eventually she had to, because she was getting exhausted and not doing her work and staying late at the office, and that impaired her marriage and children's needs. So, it gets to be a domino effect.
Right. What I find interesting is being nice also ties into taking away your ability, or in your mind, you always need to be nice. It's taking away your ability to say no. But by taking away your ability to say no, it's also taking your ability to own yes when you're saying yes.
Really mean it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mean it with joy,
and really mean it. So it's
Yeah.
really, from what I'm hearing, being nice all the time is disempowering, because it not only takes away a strong no, but it also takes away a strong yes from you.
Exactly, David. Exactly. If people would stop and really unpack that and look at how they feel when they say, yeah, I probably can, or when they really mean no and don't
Right.
do it. And some people will give a reason like, well, I'm going to be busy till September, which opens the door for someone to call them in September. You betcha. To
Right.
kind of like say, well, you said we need you on this committee or this or this. And so now they either give another reason or give in and not really mean it.
Right.
And that, that takes away our integrity, our core integrity.
Okay, I get it. So, well, I know one of the things you talk about is that not fitting in. You mentioned that not fitting in is a good thing sometimes. How so? What do you mean by that?
Yeah, it really is. If you look at what you have to do and what you have to sacrifice to fit in, look around you. I mean, you see families where it's really scary to step out on a ledge and do something different. I love that I think everyone should live a life that at the end of their life, they should be able to sing, I did it my way,
Right.
Instead of the family way,
Sure.
instead of sitting and we watch the same TV programs, we go to the right schools, we go to the right clubs. And I have women who come to me around 35, they've married the right man, supposedly for them. And they're saying, what happened? I'm so miserable. And they have not gone outside of what seemed comfortable and safe. They voted for the same people and watched the same TV programs and had the same circle of friends and didn't have enough diversity, didn't see enough of other people's way of being in the world, or being open to understanding the differences and the rich tapestry of differences, and how that opens us up to an inner life that's richer and richer with every year that we explore. I mean, fitting in is a sad, sad condition, I believe. I think if the ones in the family who have a chance of breaking free and really making something of their life that sings to their heart, makes their heart sing, are lucky ones. I mean, people don't know when they're seventh grade and in high school and even college that not fitting in, it doesn't feel too good when you're going through it. And they have no idea, no one helps them to know that this is such a good thing. There's an old fable about Procruste's bed, the innkeeper who, when people came to spend the night, if they were too short, he stretched them to fit his bed.
Right.
And then if they were too tall, he cut off their feet. And it's kind of like, in what way, how are you betraying yourself? And what way are you in Procruste's bed in your life? Who are you in bed with?
Well, the interesting thing that I'm hearing is that it's almost an extension of being nice. It's kind of a secondary thing. So women are conditioned to be nice, but then they're conditioned to fit in, to almost not rock the apple cart of expression.
And people, family or loved ones and family members do not necessarily, we have to get out of expecting them to support us when we step out on the ledge. We have to get out of that place, because some family members and some friends and lovers and husbands cannot do that, because when we step out of the safety zone, it makes them very anxious. It stirs up inside of them some things they have pushed down, like their own unlived dreams that they have been afraid of testing. And so you can't even expect your spouse to, you have to, try to work it out the best you can. But sometimes spouses, parents cannot support us when we step outside of the frame that they think is where we should be living,
So what suggestions do you have, I guess on two fronts, but let's focus on the fitting in. So there's always this pressure, this peer pressure, family pressure to fit in.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes it's very visible, sometimes it's in the background. What do you recommend to women who are feeling this pressure and something inside of them? So they want to break out, they want to try something new, but they feel, and I would imagine the feeling is almost you're suffocated by this need to fit in, or by this pressure to fit in. So how do you overcome, or what recommendations would you give to women who are feeling this pressure, maybe feeling suffocated by it? They have this inner part that wants to drive them to kind of step out of it and do what they want to do. But they're not getting the support. As you mentioned, they might not see the support from anybody. They might not see it from their peers, their family, their friends. What do you recommend they do to kind of overcome that pressure?
Well, what I suggest usually right off the bat is stop. I mean, literally kind of stop and reflect on their life and really get clear on the story that they're living, so they can come out of denial. Because sometimes we do week after week, month after month, and we don't want to test it or check it out. We just do sameness, same old same. But like the women say that I see over time, quite a few who come like at mid-30s who are stuck in their feeling depressed, anxious, and they're saying, why am I feeling this way? I have everything I thought I wanted. Why, I should be happy. Women even are hard on themselves about wanting more. They have to find that core peace inside of themselves that deserves more. But first of all is out of denial, and then looking at some, if they're willing, some ancestral kinds of conditioning that they're carrying inside that they may not know is there. But if they're stuck in any area of life, quite often it is stuck in some old conditioning. Mm-hmm. And then I do hypnosis with some people who come in office, and I teach people self-hypnosis who have phone sessions and stuff. But if lots of people don't come to see a psychotherapist, and neither do they need to, it's fine. But in order to find out what's there is critical. And so in order to do that, they have to learn to kind of get themselves in a relaxed state, to go back to some of that theta energy where they learned a lot of stuff that's got them stuck. And I use journaling in a different way, in a more in-depth way, by asking people to become very relaxed before they journal. And that is why I did offer if some people have a struggle, relaxing. So I did offer a relaxation tape to give them a chance to get a sense of how that feels to get relaxed. And then you journal, and you can bring up younger parts of yourself. I go into that in depth in the book, and you bring up younger parts of yourself to see what age you were, or what do what have you bought into that you need to change for a fuller, more exciting, joyful life. And but the critical thing to get the most out of this kind of journaling, is to journey backwards into a bit of a relaxed state.
Right.
So you have more opening. It's kind of like it disarms the unconscious. The unconscious wants to snap the purse shut and not let out any secrets that are in there. And sometimes we can't go at the unconscious directly because it's very much a survivalist and very much resistant to change. So what relaxation does when you go back into a slower, lower energy, it helps you disarm the unconscious, where you can get more information,
Right.
Instead of attacking it directly, so to speak.
So you just shared a lot of information. Let me just unpack some of it. So one of the things you're talking about is the importance of kind of relaxing in general, especially if you're going to be using a journaling technique. So the first thing I want to mention is, Laura, you've created an audio program, and you're offering it for free to everybody. And I just want to tell people where to go to get that. It's laurabyoung.com. So Laura, initial B, young.com/relax. And if you go to laurabyoung.com/relax, there's an audio there that will help you get into a much more relaxed state. And one of the things I'm hearing you say is that one of the techniques that you have helps you kind of heal this unconscious conditioning. So we've had this unconscious conditioning that we talked about from early on in our lives. And a powerful technique to get there is by journaling. And I know you get into that in your book a little bit, but in order to effectively use journaling, you recommend getting into kind of more of a relaxed state in order to do that. So I just want to recommend the audio once again in the journaling concept. But I know one of the things, we might not have time to go into it deeper here, but journaling is a very powerful tool. And I know you talk about it in at least one of your books. Can you take a minute and just tell us a little bit about your books? I know you have a new one. What book would you recommend people start with to learn some of the things you're talking about?
Well, I think my latest book, Remove Obstacles to Experience Unstoppable Feminine Power, addresses a lot of the ways women lose their power and sometimes don't even know it. There's a whole big area around anger that if it's suppressed and not expressed properly, it usually leads to depression and a feeling of, is this all there is in life? The suppression of wildness is I go into that, and how to reclaim that part of you that was exuberant and natural and engaged in the world, and to be fully conscious in the world, to be fully into your personal power. It doesn't mean force and linear expertise. It means, for women, it means developing their intuition, their willingness. They have a willingness to learn new things. They have a curiosity. They're willing to be beginners, which sometimes men are not so much, but women kind of go past that and are curious. And one thing it's really important is be willing to acknowledge there's probably some denial in some area or other. None of us are stuck in all the areas. But even if you're stuck in one, it may make a difference. Like the woman, who ran a company but became 12 when she visited her
Right.
parents. Even one can trip you up a little bit.
Sure.
And then and then you kind of give yourself, permission to look at the male template and look at, we all have male, female energy inside of us, and look at how balanced you are. If you're able to pull out some of that action by becoming more determined to have a full life, to know yourself, to know what's hidden, and also know that there are ways, once you know what's hidden, how to heal what's hidden so you can free up. And quite often, from my point of view, it's stuff that we don't even know it's there. It was put in. I grew up with a belief that poverty was spiritual. I mean, you can imagine it was you're closer to God if you're poor. You can imagine how many years of unpacking I had to do around that belief that in the beginning I wasn't even know it was there, except some patterns in my life were showing up, and I needed to proceed, or to have the courage to proceed. I needed to unpack that and release it. I mean, and we do that by degrees. We don't do it one time and it's over. It's,
it's a process.
Put in there pretty much step by step, Yeah.
So just to reiterate, the main book, your new book, is Remove Obstacles to Experience Unstoppable Feminine Power. And
Yes.
just a quick thing, I know you also have a website set up to make it easy for people to go to, and it's femininepowerbooks.com. Is that right? Femininepowerbooks.com?
It takes them right to the book. Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So femininepowerbooks.com. So do you have any suggestions also? Because I know you work a little bit with mothers of daughters who kind of want to spare their daughters these struggles, right? You're talking about this conditioning, kind of mindless conditioning. Do you have any thoughts or suggestions on what mothers can do for their daughters who want to kind of spare the struggles that many women go through?
I have a few mothers in my caseload over the last few months who read the book and agreed that unbeknownst to themselves, they were probably passing along some skewed ideas of what it is to be a woman, and particularly a woman in today's, to grow up into a woman in today's world. And one of them particular had 3 daughters and said, I wish I'd had this much earlier to review my own story and my mother's story that I'm carrying at times. But she said, I'm studying it to try and stop the generational disempowerment of females. She said, there's so much I'm learning, but it's teaching me what to teach. Like the Amy person I mentioned earlier, her mom, was in the 60s. They were very angry and they had to do, compelled to do extreme things to get attention to the fact we want egalitarian respect. But there was a lot of anger at that time, a lot of anger, and understandably so. But they didn't go through the whole circle. It's almost like they went 180, and then some things were relieved and people's kind of settled back into a kind of a place of complacency in some ways. But this time, we can't do it with anger. We have to do it with finding our own power and stepping up and being counted, and know that we count. But we've all had a feeling of our own power, no matter how our upbringing was or what we're doing. There has been a time in your life where you kind of stood up in your own power. It might have been fleeting,
right?
But there was a time where you said no more, or you said you will not pass. I mean, there was some moment where each of us has said, and we probably surprised ourselves in the moment when we said no more. We all have that in us. We need more of it every day. We need more to say, no, not today. Thank you. That's way too much. Yes, I'd love to do that. And to have that freedom
Mhm.
and not be so attached to the family legacy or the
Mhm.
ancestral legacy.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Well, we covered a lot of material today, and I know
Yeah.
you gave a few ideas. Make sure to check out laurabyoung.com. You also had the Relax Audio, your book. Is there anything else? And we also tell people how to contact you directly. Uh, and you do phone consultations, things like that, laurabyoung.com. All the details are there. Do you have anything else you want to let people know about in terms of
Well,
things that you're doing?
if they want a session or a phone session, they could contact me by email at laura@liferesourcecenter.net. And I usually, get back to my emails fairly quickly. And I love, this is a great time to be a woman. It is a great time. And there's a lot going on and a lot stirring, even if you haven't, we all of us need each other. We
Mhm.
need to be sisters rather than feeling competition in any way with each other. We're all on different steps of the stairs. And I know a lot of your audience, usually, David, are well versed in how to live fully. However, all of us may have, some small thing that's keeping us from being on the bigger stage of life, whether that's making better casseroles for the neighbor or being on TED Talk, doesn't matter. It's what we're really good at, what
Mhm.
we're good at. And we have to claim that, because it doesn't mean having to be on TED Talks. It can mean being a really, really wonderful neighbor in your neighborhood,
Right.
that people know that you're living in your integrity,
I like that concept. All right, we're just about finishing up over here. Any final words for our audience? You shared a lot of material today, a lot of ideas. Any final word for everybody before we finish up?
Yeah, I would say it doesn't, we're all on steps of the stairs. It doesn't matter as long as you take the first step to begin. Don't expect it to be linear. It's messy,
Right.
but it's exciting. It opens up a new way of being in the world you never thought about but you have to make a decision to do it, and you
Mhm.
have to take the first step. And all of the stuff I said today, of course, I've worked with this over 30 years. I've done my own psychotherapy. So don't be discouraged that it seems like a lot. You don't have to do it that way. You do it step by step. And because people like me have plowed ahead and done our own messy stuff and our own psychotherapy and our own writing, we can help you do it a lot faster.
Right.
I mean, you can do it a lot faster than I did it. There was no template there. There was
Mhm.
no one saying it's okay to step out and say no. It's step out and be whoever you're supposed to be, whatever that is. So I appreciate the opportunity very much. And I appreciate you, David, and all that you do for all of us
All right.
all the time.
All right. Well, Laura, thank you for joining us and sharing all this information today. And I'd like to thank everybody for listening. And I want to wish you great success in all areas of your life. We'll talk to everybody soon. All right. Take care.
Thank you.